All right, guys, this is gonna be like an update, video two, right? We gotta do some kind of update on these things. We've already showed you guys this once. Wait, who am I? I'm the goofball, Jeremy from Weldtec Designs, and we are back at it showing you guys vans, and we have Wade all the way from Colorado. Now, wait a second, before we jump into what Wade's doing, you can tell that there's a difference here because I'm from California and I'm like, this is cold. Wade's from Colorado and he's in shorts and a t-shirt because this is not cold. I don't know if I'd survive in Colorado, but anyways, we will walk around this thing. We'll refresh your memory on the outside of this thing, but what's more important is all the cool stuff that Wade did to the inside, and since I don't know, I'm gonna let him talk about it. So let's jump into this thing. Come on, Wade. It's like the love seat right here. This is pretty comfy. So now tell me about this. What did you do here?
So I bought this thing brand new back in April, drove it all the way, bought it in Pennsylvania because COVID shut down my build I had. Found it in Pennsylvania, drove it all the way back to California, right to you guys. So you guys did on the outside, but on the inside, I pretty much did a Moto van. So I want to be able to get a full-size KTM in here, mountain bikes, all my gear, and sleep at the same time. I didn't want to have to take all my stuff out and make it complicated. So I got the couch here. This is from an RV. It folds down into a twin-size bed, fully insulated. I got electrical on the ceiling. I got a fridge in here. I got a diesel heater. Fantastic fan.
So let's cover some of these things because I think that's what's important. Is a lot of people will go, well, oh, I really like this bed. So first, this is made by?
This is Rec Pro. You can find them on Google. If you Google it, they have all different kind of styles and colors. And I wanted something small enough where it wasn't going to take up the whole van, but if I slide the driver's seat forward, I can fit. I'm 6'1" and I can fit on this couch very easily with another person. Has storage underneath, which is really important for me, and it just bolts right to the floor, so really easy.
And we did touch base on it. It won't fit the length, the width ways of the van, and that's why you ended up going the lengthwise.
Correct.
of it.
And going lengthwise as well would allow me to get my motorcycle in here, because the front tire comes out to be right here if I slide it all the way forward. So if I did try to fit something sideways, I would lose a lot of that space in the back.
And I want to say that with the amount of space in here, if you decided to bring me riding with you, we could almost probably fit 2 bikes. Yeah. Like we could bring one bike all the way up to the front, still put another bike in the back. So I think that's what I think is I like better. It kind of gives you that versatility of being able to, you know, put more gear, more stuff in it, where if you did put it sideways, you're always limited to it, especially if you use this for an entrance coming in and out. You're like, oh, now I'm squeezing around seats or...
Yeah, and a lot of the times I'll have my KTM here, and then I can easily get my mountain bike right here, and it's still, I can move that rack and it bolts in, so I can get kind of all my stuff really easily right in the front of this.
So now you talked about a diesel heater, and I know that that's another question that a lot of people, I think, ask about, or if they're thinking about building out a van and they need heat in it because they may, like for yourself, you're going to be in Colorado, it's going to be cold. So tell me about that. Where did you put that heater at?
So the heater is actually, and I can show you. So this all flips open, so I got all my electrical here. Here's my fridge. This is an Alpi-Cool fridge, which is a really cheap option, but it's worked fantastic. And then underneath, if I can kind of pull it out, but the heater is underneath the fridge. And so that's just a cheap Chinese diesel heater that you see on eBay or Amazon. It was like 120 bucks, and it works fantastic. So I can crank this thing up to, I can get up to 80 degrees, no problem.
So now, and I know nothing about heaters, so now it actually runs off diesel gasoline?
Yeah, so there's a reservoir there. Super safe to have that inside. You have a fresh air vent that, from the outside, and then the exhaust vents outside as well.
Okay.
So there's a thermostat over here, and it, for how small the space is, it cranks.
So this looks like it's maybe like 1 gallon. It's going to hold about a gallon.
10 liters.
Okay, and I don't know the conversion of that. So, but it's just going to hold enough. And now, how long will that last?
If I use that from 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning, I could probably get 4 or 5 nights.
Okay.
And that's on a low setting. If you crank it up hotter, obviously you're going to burn more fuel.
Yeah, but you're not really going to need I mean, how many square feet we're really heating?
Right.
You're not going to need it.
But on the very minimal setting, it's very efficient.
Now, where are the vents in that? Where does it blow the heat out now?
So there's a vent up here in the front.
Okay.
So my thermostat is right here, and then this one vent
is going to blow out. Okay, because I think that's a big thing is when, and that's what I really want to get into and talk about in these kind of videos, is really showing people things of that nature. Because if you want to build out, I mean, that's great to hear that it's $100 on Amazon. Obviously, anybody can shop on Amazon and get parts like that to build out their own parts. They don't need to come to somebody like us or some big company in order to do it. And I think that's key is really, I mean, let's call it, I mean, it's a budget build. I mean, you don't need really high dollar parts to get out there and have fun.
It took me maybe 6 hours to install, so not too long at all. And that's just because I had to figure out how the fridge is going to get in here and make sure. But if you had a blank slate, it would be a lot faster. So
now let's talk about some of the other things that you've done in here. So I see you have you have your air line in here, and then you also did an ARB compressor on the inside. So what do you find yourself using the ARB compressor most for?
That is just for tires.
Okay.
So if I tow my Jeep out to the desert and I want to fill up everything, that's the best option that I found, is just to mount it.
Okay.
So on the back side of that panel, I have my ARB switch,
okay,
so I can open up the back doors and easily fill it up.
Very cool. So that's going to be, this is pretty much all for gear. So now on the other side, can we open this side up and talk about what we got going on over here?
Definitely. So this is probably unorganized, but I have a lot of my bedding in here.
Okay.
I got a bunch of tools. I got extra water, camp chairs, tables. Anything that I can kind of get to easily is usually in here. And then storage under the bed is clothes, food, things of that nature. So electrical and fridge, bedding, clothes, all that good stuff.
So, and it's just nice being able to utilize all that space. I mean, this is obviously going to be an extended van, so we're going to have a little bit more room in here coming out to the back, but you can see still a ton of room for storage. And I mean, both of us are back here now. Obviously, the downfall, which of any of this we're going to say, at any point have you wished that you had the higher top, or like, is it you're not in here enough?
I'm not in here enough, and that's a big argument that people go, well, you can't stand up in it. But a lot of times I'm either in here to sleep or pack up, but I'm outside more often than not, so I'm not in here.
And that's what I think is a huge thing. So a lot of people, like, to me, my van is a destination vehicle. I'm using it as a tool to get to where I'm going, and once I get to where I'm going, I'm not really coming in it at all, or very minimum. And you know, we spend a lot of days at the track, and it's like my kids are changing in there. Other than that, I'm not in my van at all. We may have the canopy out, we're hanging out outside, and they can stand up in it. But even for me, if I have to change it, I'm like, no problem. It's easy to come in, change, we're done. The kids can go sleep in there, and a lot of times that's what they'll do. So I agree. I don't think that is a deal breaker at all. Especially, I'm going to have to say that for the cost of it. You know, I mean, a pop top is really neat, but when you get into $12,000 just so to be able to stand up in, what are we, 6 by 100 square feet, that's a lot of money to stand up.
Right, I totally agree, and I can still sit on the couch fully straight back. It's comfortable for me, and like I said, I'm over 6 feet, and even getting around this thing, it's not a problem.
Yeah, no, this is really nice. So tell me about, you talked about, excuse me, that you insulated all of the panels, I'm assuming, behind all of this. So what did you use to insulate this?
So starting fresh, I did it's called Noico, which is a sound deadener. It's a good cheap alternative. You can find that on eBay or on Amazon. That's just a foil adhesive you can roll on. And then I did 3M Thinsulate.
Okay.
And that's, I'm sure people doing their van builds, it was a little pricey, but that was the best thing that I've done to keep the sound.
Okay.
So once I installed that, this thing sounds like a luxury car. It doesn't sound like a tin can anymore. So that just spray adhesives on, the 3M. I did that on the walls and the ceiling. And then I just did a thin veneer plywood. And on these panels, it's an 1/8 inch high density foam. and then I did a Sunbrella fabric over the top.
Okay.
So if you feel it, you can't. It's soft to the touch, and that's
yeah, where you're not getting directly to the wood right there.
You can't see the imperfections of the plywood. There, it almost looks like a finish.
So I do like this. So these are like the RV lights,
right,
what is in the ceiling, and I think that that is nice because it's giving you a lot of lights. They're very small all the way down it, and then at the same time, like easy to mount because they're super narrow.
Right.
And these things are easy to change out too.
Definitely,
like
yeah, you just pop them in. There's a clip that opens up, and they just latch right into place.
So that's very cool. I definitely dig that as well. And so now tell me, what is the material that you use now for the top?
So I did thin slate also in the ceiling, and then this is, I forgot the thickness, but Home Depot sells it. It's called whiteboard.
Okay.
It's really cheap, and you can just cut that, and it's lightweight, and I don't have to worry about it falling down or anything. So
right. And then these are all the attachment points, and then those just go right over the screws?
Everything in here I did rib nuts. I didn't want to do self-tappers, so I have basically furring strips on the walls and the ceiling with rib nuts, and then these are just regular wood screws that it attaches to.
Okay, nice. So, and that's what I'm like, very, like everything you've kept saying is like Amazon,
oh yeah,
you know, Home Depot, like all of these things, which is great because what that equates to is first you can do it yourself, you know, without having to have a huge skill set. I mean, you can go on YouTube and learn a ton on how to do this, but relatively inexpensive. I mean, if we were to think, what do you think you probably have in the whole interior of this build?
Just the interior, a couple of grand, and that's just because I did the couch is a little expensive, you know, that was a couple $100. This rubber flooring, the coin flooring was kind of expensive because you got to buy it in a big roll, but honestly the ceiling, the walls, a couple $100.
And that's awesome because I mean, even if we were to go super crazy and be like $5,000,
right,
you know, I mean, that's a really, I mean, to me, I'm like, I don't need much. I'm super like, hey, this works out perfect for me. I know, I mean, place for toys, place to sleep, you know?
Right.
And
when you do everything yourself, like I said, you can buy all this stuff at Home Depot, all the aluminum trim. I built the boxes myself, and it's just a fun project to do. You know.
And now, how long do you think this whole build out took you to do?
About 5 to 6 weeks. So once I picked it up from you guys in El Cajon, I drove it back to Colorado, and that was my quarantine project because we got nothing else going on. So yeah, about 5 or 6 weeks I was done with it.
So pretty cool, guys, on the inside of this thing. You know, definitely thanks, Wade, for walking us through this. And now, do you have a build thread or Instagram or anything that you do?
Yeah, my Instagram is Wader Nation, WADERNATION, Wader Nation. And then I have a highlight album for my Moto van build. So if you want to just follow me on there, and you can go through step by step of everything that I've done.
Awesome. You know, and I'm sure, guys, he's awesome too. If you have questions, you know, I think that's one thing I love about the van community too, is, you know, most of the do-it-yourself guys are totally willing to, oh, you know, do this or do that, don't do this,
right.
You know, where you can't necessarily go and ask the company that because they'll be like, oh, you just bring it to us and we'll do it for you, you know. So a lot of good information there, guys. We will try to put links to a lot of the products that he used. If not, you know, you can head over to his Instagram and check that out. But, you know, thank you guys so much for watching this inside. This was like round 2 of this build out. Who knows what's to come next? We'll keep you guys posted. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.